In modernity, the Greek Orthodox patriarch goes in, he's searched, there's no lighters, and they describe it as this blue flame which kind of undulates over the slab and then turns into a pillar. And at that point, he lights his candles and goes out, holy fire. And thousands of pilgrims light their candles off of his candles. And you can take the candle and go like this, and it won't burn you for about 20 minutes.
I've never heard of this.
Nobody's heard of it. It's the most well-kept secret on the planet.
Bienvenidos a Enfoque con Marcia Castillo. Una vez más estamos aquí y hoy tenemos a un invitado, como siempre, muy especial, pero el cual es un invitado muy consistente, ha estado con nosotros varias veces y queremos darle la bienvenida. Hoy vamos a hablar de un tópico muy diferente y hermoso, también importante, con referencia a nuestra fe. Así es que queremos ahora entrar a hablar en inglés para poder conversar con L.A. Marzulli, the one and only. Welcome to Enfoque again.
It's amazing the way you can just go back and forth like that. It's just like, Spanish is such a beautiful language. I mean, it really is.
It is. And it's weird because I study and I read in English everything. And then I translate it as I'm talking sometimes. It's fun.
Wow, that's amazing. That's quite a gift.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me here. I appreciate it. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year as well to you and your family. It's a blessing to connect with you. You are a wealth of information. And, you love the Lord. And I think that's the number one requisite to be able to sit at somebody's feet and just listen and learn. And you love the Lord. You're passionate about the Word of God. You're passionate about the Spirit of God. And so for us to have you here and connect with you and listen to what the Lord has placed in your heart is a real privilege, L.A.
Well, the honor and privilege is all mine, but thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We are going to talk today about the Shroud of Turin. Mm-hmm. And I have always read about it. I've been intrigued about it. But the last time you and I connected to do a podcast that's coming out in March, I saw a picture in the back of your studio of, right there. And it touched me so much. I was so touched by it. And I said, I wonder if he's willing to do a podcast on the Shroud. Can you tell me? Why do you have that picture there? I've
been a Christian for 44 years. All right. And when I first became a Christian, I was drawn to the Shroud. I mean, I was just drawn. I saw it and I just went, oh my gosh, there he is. I mean, I just instantly was drawn to the Shroud. And I've studied the Shroud, not nearly to the depths of someone, let's say like Russ Prayalt or Joe Marino or Barry Schwartz. Those guys are, they're the patriarchs and other people of Shroud studies. Certainly the whole STIRP team, Shroud of Turin Research Project team, which went over there, I believe in 1978. And, those guys were just amazing. The whole team was just incredible. So anything I know is from talking to Barry Schwartz. We've interviewed him. He passed away. Dame Isabel Pixick, Russ Prayalt was instrumental in hooking us up with Dame Isabel Pixick. She's a very unique individual, a brilliant woman. She's a world-class muralist. Her paintings are huge, like 6 feet by 10 feet. They're just huge. Okay. And they hang in museums in the Vatican and all over the place. She's a world-class muralist, but she's also a particle physicist. So she's got both.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. It's unlike anything you can even imagine, because on one hand, here's the artist, right? And on the other hand, here's the particle physicist, and they're both hammering at you. You just kind of go, whoa, it's unbelievable. So we interviewed her, my late business partner and I, Richard Shaw, years ago, just years ago. And we walked into her studio, which was in Los Angeles, and I just started looking around. I just started laughing because it was like being in a holy place, a holy shrine. I mean, it was that special. And Richard, I'm laughing. Richard just broke down in tears.
Wow.
Well, it was that intense. It was that intense. And that we're working, my new business partner, because Rick passed away a number of years ago now. So my new business partner, Gil Zimmerman, who spent 30 years, let me turn this off, 30 years at between Disney and the other Disney, when he left, we hooked up and we've done basically 10 films together on the whole UFO phenomena. And right now we're in post-production on the Shroud of Turin. And we're linking the Shroud of Turin with the Holy Fire, which has been seen in Jerusalem literally for the last 1,700 years, unbroken. And here in the West, no one knows about the Holy Fire because there's been an uncoupling. When the Great Schism happened and the Catholic Church broke away from the Greek Orthodox and they excommunicated each other, then that was it. And that one of the popes said, this is nothing, don't look at it. So the Catholic Church and even the Protestant Church know nothing about the Holy Fire. But in the last 6-8 months, the Holy Fire, thanks to Russ Brayall, Joe Marino, and now we're doing a film on it. And it is unbelievable because this phenomena has been happening there for 1,700 years, literally.
Where? Can you tell us more?
Yeah, it's at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and it happens once a year on Holy Saturday, the day before Resurrection Sunday. And what it is, especially before the Patriarch, there's a building. Okay, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is like this. There's a building inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is called the Edicule. In the Edicule is a slab. On that slab is where the body of Jesus lay. And it's below. So that whole place was a quarry. And here's why I believe it's the true burial site. So AD 70, the Romans come in and they wipe everything out. They destroy the temple. 1 million Jews are killed. Everybody else is carted off. It's an absolute disaster. 125 to 130, the Bar Kokhba revolution happens. So the Romans at this time, that's it. We've had enough. Kick all the Jews out. You set foot in Jerusalem, you're dead. So that's the end of that. Then they build the Temple of Venus over the place where the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is now. There was no church there, but everybody knew the site. Everybody knew the garden tomb, where the tomb was, where the crucifixion site was, the whole deal. Everybody knew. The rocks split from the earthquake. Everybody knew. But all that was gone. Temple of Venus was put there, and the Temple of Jupiter was constructed on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. So that's like, 130, 135. Mm-hmm. You basically go almost, another couple hundred years to the 4th century. So now it's like Helena, the mother of Constantine, comes into Jerusalem because the whole edict of the conversion and this becomes a state religion. So she makes a pilgrim to Jerusalem and she goes, where is it? Where was Calvary? Where was the tomb? Well, everybody knows where it is because they're all the locals. And even though most of them have been chewed out, everybody knows where it is. And they go, it's under the Temple of Venus. So Helena, how you want to pronounce it, she has the Temple of Venus completely deconstructed. Sure enough, they find the crucifixion site. They find the split rock where the earthquake happened. And then going later, they find the cave where the tomb was. And you remember, all this has been, it's the archaeology, there's no other place it can be. Because the locals know exactly. The Romans aren't going to build the Temple of Venus over something. They know exactly where the tomb is. And so this slab of rock where the body lay, all right, for 3 days, every Saturday, and before, in modernity, the Greek Orthodox Patriarch goes in, he's searched, there's no lighters, and they describe it as this blue flame which kind of undulates over the slab and then turns into a pillar. And at that point, he lights his candles and goes out, holy fire. And thousands of pilgrims light their candles off of his candles. And you can take the candle and go like this, and it won't burn you for about 20 minutes.
I've never heard of this.
Nobody's heard of it. It's the most well-kept secret on the planet. And now the Holy Spirit is bringing this out. And, Elmer Fudd here, that's me. Elmer Fudd's making a movie on this thing. Why me, Lord? I mean, go figure. We're the first film that's connecting the shroud to the holy fire. So it's some kind of plasma. And you go back where these handwritten accounts, 1,000 years ago, where the pilgrims are all around the edicule, and the fire comes through the roof of the Holy Sepulchre like this, and lights all the lanterns. Lights all the lanterns. This infuriated the Muslim caliph that they tore down the whole Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and they started banging on where the tomb was, but for some reason they didn't do it. And so then they reconstructed the thing, and again, the Muslims got really ticked off because people were converting. All these Syrian Muslims would come in, see the fire, and convert to Christianity.
How could you not?
Yeah, the caliph, the caliph goes, okay, next year we're going to replace all the wicks in the lanterns with lead wicks. Lead does not light; it's not going to happen. So they go in and they take all the wicks out of the candles, out of the lanterns, and replace them with lead. They're all waiting. Holy fire comes in, boom, all the lanterns are lit up.
Oh my goodness.
Takes all the lanterns out, pulls all the lead, puts new lead wicks in, hangs the lanterns back up, bam, and this is all documented, Marcia, it's all documented. And this has been going on for centuries, literally. So this is what the Shroud of Turin looks like. It's a piece of cloth about 13 feet long by about 3.5 feet wide. 13.5 feet long, 3.5 feet wide. It bears the faint imprint, as you can see here, of a crucified man, a man in rigor mortis who's been killed. And it's a frontal and dorsal image. In other words, which is in itself really bizarre. There's a frontal image, which is this, but there's also a dorsal image. How is that done? There's no paint on it. There's very, very faint traces of paint, but it's not a painting. It's not a painting. And
wow.
They've never been able to duplicate it. So in 1898, Secunda Pia is commissioned to take the first photographs of the shroud. First photographs of the shroud. So he goes, and remember, this is what the headshot looks like. So he takes full body shots like this, but he also goes up and just takes the face. Now he's in his dark room. In 1898, you had glass plates, you had wooden camera boxes, right? And you would take the glass plate out and then go to your dark room and you take your chemical solution. So he's doing this with the chemical solution. He's expecting to see something like this. There's the face. What he sees is this.
Wow, how amazing is that?
And the whole body comes up like this.
And it has the markings, or it looks like it has the markings of a person that was flogged, correct?
Oh, look at it. Oh my gosh, look at it. The scourging is incredibly brutal and severe, and it's all over him. It's all over his front, his chest, his stomach, his arms, his legs, on his buttocks, everywhere. He's been scourged, brutally scourged. I mean, severely scourged. And the Roman torturers, they could do it two ways. They could scourge you lightly. That's a light punishment. But Pilate had him scourged in hopes that the Jews would spare his life. Crucify him, crucify him. His blood be upon us.
They did say that.
And upon our children. They cursed themselves.
Yes, they did.
Which is the most insane thing. And Jews don't want to hear that, but that's what they did.
Yes.
They cursed themselves. And this is why, and I realize I'm going way out on a limb here, but this is why for the last 2,000 years, all the stuff, this is why the Holocaust, this is why the anti-Semitism, this is why.
You know, a lot of people would
Don't
not
want to hear
dare say that.
I know.
But we as Christians and spirit-filled believers understand the spirit realm and what happens when you speak. And they did curse themselves.
They cursed themselves. And here's the deal. I'm not anti-Semitic. I love the Jewish people. I love Israel.
Yeah.
I do. I stand by Israel. I quote to all the naysayers who don't believe in prophecy, I quote Amos 9, 14, and 15. I will bring back the captives of my people, Israel. They will build the waste cities and inhabit them. They will plant vineyards and drink the wine from them. They will also plant gardens and eat the fruit from them. I will plant them in their land, and never again will they be plucked up out of a land I have given them. That's prophecy. That was fulfilled in 1948. They're not going anywhere. They, the Jewish people, will look on him whom they have pierced and mourn for him as an only son.
Amen.
That's the future, and it's coming. So when I say that they curse themselves, I'm not being anti-Semitic. I love the Jewish people. I stand with Israel all day long, but they curse themselves.
Yeah.
Words have meaning, and that curse. So Jesus becomes sin for us. This is why the Romans had him scourged literally within an inch of his life. So, you know, in Colossians, the first chapter, it says he is the first. He is the head of the church. He is the head of the church, the beginning, the firstborn from the dead. Mm-hmm. He's the head of the church, the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, so that he may be preeminent in all things. For in him the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, and through him to reconcile himself all things in earth and in heaven, making peace by the blood of his cross. So, you know, you get there and you kind of go like, why does Jesus always have to be the firstborn of everything? Why is he the firstborn of the dead? Well, and it's like, do you want to be the firstborn of the dead? Do you want to go through this? You know, do you think you can resurrect yourself? I don't think so.
Wow.
So what the Lord showed me with this, which just blew me away last year, how do you kill God? How do you kill God? You can't kill God, can you?
I would say no.
Right. But this is why no one got it. This is why the enemy, Satan, the dragon, didn't get it. He didn't understand what was about to happen. This is why Mary and John, who know who he is, especially Mary, my gosh, Mary knows exactly, because, you know, she's a virgin and she gets pregnant and that whole deal. And she raises Yeshua, Jesus, and she knows who he is. This is why I just love this. I'm preaching here. This is why.
And I'm like, what's he going to say next? I'm at the edge of my seat.
This is why when they're at the wedding feast of Canaan, Mary, and this is just hysterical when you think about it. She knows who he is. And she brings up the stewards and she goes, whatever he tells you to do, just do it. You're not going to, basically, I'm reading it. You're not going to understand it. Trust me. I've been with this guy. He's my son. Whatever he tells you to do, just do it. I mean, it's hysterical when you think about it. And then Jesus says something completely ridiculous. Fill up those pots with water. What do you think the guys are thinking? What are we doing this for? Yeah. Why is he doing? And then the steward takes the wine. It's the best wine. You save the best for last. And he knows wine. You know, he knows wine. Right? He knows vino. It's like, I can't get up there, but I digress. So the bottom line is, how do you kill God? Mary and John are at the feet of the cross and they're going to themselves. He can heal himself. He's going to come down. He's going to pop the nails out. He's going to come down and heal himself. How do you kill God? You can't kill God, but you can kill God because Jesus is fully man and fully God, and he dies. And this is why no one got it. Mary didn't get it. None of the apostles got it. The Satan, the dragon, he didn't understand it, because if he understood it, he never would have allowed this to happen, because that being humble and laying his life down for us, that's the game changer. That's checkmate. That changes the entire universe right there.
Wow. Wow.
I know. It's just.
This is something to meditate on, listen to it repeatedly until it gets in your heart and you fully understand what we're talking about here. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Now, I want to ask you a question. I was reading the scripture earlier and preparing for the podcast, and the Gospel of John, chapter 20, talks about the the shroud, it doesn't say a shroud, it says a linen
Linen
cloth,
cloth, right.
but it says that there's let me see what it says. It says, then Simon Peter came up. I'm reading from the Amplified, John 20, verse 6. Then Simon Peter came up following him and went into the tomb and saw the linen cloths lying there. But the burial napkin, which had been around Jesus' head, was not lying with the other linen cloth, but was still rolled up, wrapped round and round in a place by itself. What do you make of that?
That's called the Sudarium of Oviedo. That's the Sudarium. That cloth is called the Sudarium of Oviedo. And remember, I mean, I'm standing on the shoulders of Joe Marino and Russ Brault and Barry Schwartz and Dame Isabel Pixick and John, I can't think of his last name. Please forgive me. He was the leader of the whole Shroud of Turin research project. The guy's amazing. I mean, he's got a whole museum on the Shroud. I mean, these guys are incredible and brought science to study the Shroud. So I'm standing on their shoulders. I'm giving them all the credit I possibly can. But the bottom line is this. The Sudarium of Oviedo is a separate cloth, and that was folded. Why? The burial cloth was over like this, over his body, the shroud. But they hadn't wrapped it. In other words, it just lay on him. It wasn't, they hadn't wrapped the shroud the way they normally would, because the women were coming back to anoint the body. They didn't have to do that. When they took Jesus down from the cross, they wrapped the head in a cloth out of respect for the dead. That's right. And that cloth, the napkin, that's folded and next to the body. It wasn't on his face during when he disappeared, when he rose from the dead, because that's what produces the image, millions of points of light, and that image is just on the very top surface of the linen. It's unbelievable. So the Sudarium of Oviedo is in Spain and has been in Spain since the 7th century. Since the 7th century.
Fascinating.
And because of the science that we have now, we can take the Sudarium of Oviedo and the Shroud of Turin, and we can overlay the Sudarium over the face, and there are 70 points of congruency. The blood is the same, and that shroud, that Sudarium, was on the same man. Whoever this is, that Sudarium, that face cloth, which is in Oviedo, Spain, was on this guy. Who is Jesus?
70 points of congruency?
70 points of congruency.
That's amazing.
It's unbelievable. And what that does, you see, and the other thing is, and again, this is Joe Marino's work and his wife, which passed away. It was Joe and his late wife who looked at the carbon-14 dating and said, wait a minute, something's not right here. And so they did a deep dive, and they realized that where the team that was hired to go in and take the samples. Remember, you just don't go, yeah, we'd like to take some samples from the shroud. The protocols were set up. They were supposed to take 3 different samples from 3 different locations of the shroud. They didn't do that. And this is like Barry Schwartz talks about it. It's in our film, our upcoming film on the Shroud of Turin, where Barry Schwartz goes, the guys in the black suits come in, they shut the whole thing down, and then later on they come back in and say, nope, you can only take it right from the corner. And there was a £1 million donation to the university for proving the shroud as a fake. I'm not making this up. So they deliberately skewed it by going here. So now Joe Marino and his wife are looking at this going, this has got to be, so there's something really wrong here. And so, again, it goes back to the Shroud of Turin research project. So the guy who was doing the linen samples had some of the samples that were taken from the same place. This is all in our film, same place, very close to the same place where they took the sample. And what they discovered was linen. The shroud is linen, but they found cotton fibers that did the repair after the fire in the 15th century. This is what skewed the carbon-14 dating. Now, just recently, and Giulio Fanti, who we interviewed, he's an Italian scientist, we interviewed for the new film. And it was Giulio Fonti who basically just recently in the last 3 or 4 months basically stating that nope, this shroud goes back 2,000 years because the herringbone weave and the way it is, we have found other material. This is authentic. You got to throw out the carbon-14 dating. But when you go on Wikipedia, they haven't changed it.
No, because I read it today.
Yeah, they haven't changed it. Well, the shroud is a medieval forgery. No, it isn't.
Yes.
No,
that's what it says.
They have not changed the carbon-14 dating. Shame on them. Gee, I wonder why. You know why? Because it points back to the supernatural worldview. It points back to the greatest event in all of history, the resurrection of the God-man Jesus, fully God, fully man. That's who he is. And here, right here, you can't duplicate this, except now they realize that when the body dematerialized, it dematerialized in infinite points of light, creating that image. And that's what the holy fire is. Yeah, I am too, trust me. Yeah, it's
so the image that was, I guess, as he rose from the dead.
Right.
There was like an imprint. Correct me. Would you say it's like a 3D type of thing, front and back? How on earth was that done? I mean, because not humanly possible.
I know it's not, and that's why Dame Isabel Pixick, who's a particle physicist, looked at this, and she believed that the body is in rigor mortis, and then the body, it's a singularity. Time and space, as we know it, stop. The body is levitated off. The shroud is pulled taut, and the body dematerializes. So you get a frontal and a dorsal image on the shroud.
Goodness.
It is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. It's the most profound artifact on the planet, the most studied artifact on the planet. There's no other artifact that's been studied, probed, and looked at like the Shroud of Turin. And there it is.
So at a time where people are getting so much information, they're confused. There's a lot of people confused about their faith. Without going too far into the UFO, that's a trigger word for you and me. But without considering the UFO and how people are reacting to the UFO phenomena, would you say that it is critical at this point in time, okay, for humanity to understand or to have something tangible that we could say, look, everything that the Word of God says is true. Jesus did walk the earth. He was fully man, fully God. He died, resurrected. Here is the proof, not to worship the shroud, but as it's like tangible evidence of the most amazing moment.
I agree.
In humanity.
I call it God's calling card. That's what I call it. I call it God's calling card because that's what it is. It's forensic evidence of the greatest event in all of history. And if you're skeptics out there, I challenge you to go to shroud.com, and spend an hour or two because you think you know, but you don't know. And that's ignorance and arrogance together. That's a deadly combination. Go to shroud.com, spend an hour or two. That's the site that Barry Schwartz, who's no longer with us, passed away in 2024. And that's his site. Joe Marino, who we interviewed in our film, along with Barry Schwartz, they're all in the film. And Joe he's taken over that mantle, which is fantastic because he's been a synodologist, someone who studies the shroud for decades, like me. But this is his focal point, no doubt. My focal point is not on the shroud, but I've been a student of it for 44 years and continue to learn and read and understand. So go to shroud.com and spend an hour, and then realize that you've just scratched the surface. That's how much.
Do you think that a lot of people disregarded or discard the shroud because the Catholic Church has it and they take it out? Is it once a year that they take it out? And I don't know how often they do that, but I know that they walk with it throughout the city, and it's like some kind of a religious thing that they do. Do you think a lot of Christians have pushed that to the side because we've been taught that we are not to worship any, some people use it as an amulet. Some people use it as a healing. If I touch it, I'm going to be healed, that kind of thing. Do you think that's what's happening also?
Yeah, I think that there's a stigma of the whole excess, dare I use that word, in Catholicism, the worship of all these saints and the bones of saints and all this,
Yeah.
which is completely unbiblical. I mean, it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
But they just make stuff up, with all due respect to Catholics.
Yes.
But they do. They just make stuff up. And I'll go toe to toe with anybody. Show me in the Bible where purgatory is. It's not there. It doesn't exist.
That's right.
So if it's not there, sola scriptura, then where did this come from? Mary is, by the Catholic Church, the whole Feast of the Assumption. Well, that doesn't happen until 300 years after the fact. And now all of a sudden she's not, her spirit, and she's the God bearer. I get that, but I'm not worshiping Mary, and I'm not praying to Mary or the saints or anything else. So all this is a construct, and then it gets into the icons and the bleeding hosts and all this crazy nonsense. So that's why when people look at the shroud, a lot of evangelicals look at this and go, "Oh, this is just a Catholic relic." It's not a Catholic relic at all. The Catholics just have possession of it, but it's not. It's not a Catholic relic. I can assure you of that.
So why do you think that the Lord put in your heart, it's such a critical time for humanity? People need to see these things. And do you tell me why you put it, why you decided to do this film about the shroud? What moved you?
Well, again, I've been a student of the shroud for 44 years. And when Bob Ulrich called me up and said, "Have you ever heard of the Holy Fire?" I said, "What?" Just like you. And I started doing a deep dive, and then I talked to Russ Brayolt. And then I realized that Russ was going to be at the Prophecy Watchers Conference down in Orlando in 2024, last year. And we flew Joe Marino in, and we were trying to get a hold of Barry. Barry died that weekend when we were in Orlando. We were going to go see him, and he passed away from leukemia, which just sucks. But we have the footage that we used in Watchers, and we're using it in this film on the shroud. And we were set to go to Ireland and in September of 2024, and the Lord said, "I didn't tell you to go there. Focus on the shroud," which is what we've been doing. And we've been in post-production now for October, November, December. Actually, this was June we filmed this. This is June, so it's 6 months. It's a very, very difficult film to edit. Very, very difficult. And we've, Gil Zimmerman and I are working on it. And in fact, tonight I'll look at another render of the show, and he's coming in on the 22nd. We're going to try to put a bow on it and finish it up. It's a very, very complex, very difficult film to edit and to show the public. And I can't wait till that's our next film. That's the one that's coming out next.
I'm speechless. I think because I see that we need to rewrite the message. It's not a Catholic relic. With all due respect to the many Catholics that are going to be seeing this podcast and maybe seeing your film as well, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with bringing the attention to the person of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Bringing the attention to the reality, to the fact that he came, he died, and he rose from the dead. And I think it's critical that we bring all the attention back to the person of Christ. So, of course, when I asked you about doing the podcast on the Shroud, I had no clue that you were working on that film. And you've set my spirit on fire, that holy fire. Seriously, I think it's a beautiful project. And I think it's time that we bring the attention it deserves, because it's not a relic.
It's not. It's forensic evidence of the greatest event in all of history. And wouldn't it be just like the Lord to just, let the holy fire sit there until the time of the end and then reveal it to the people in the West? I mean, God's got a sense of humor. That thing's been hidden away. Nobody knows about it. Nobody knows. Very few people know about it. And that's what the whole film is about.
I have to be honest and tell you that we've been to Israel many times. We have walked by the Holy Sepulchre Church many a times. I am an avid reader. I'm always studying. I read a lot of rabbinical commentaries, a lot of material, and I have never heard about the Holy Fire.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like the best kept secret on the planet.
Wow. Who's in charge of the Holy Sepulchre? Is it the Greek Orthodox Church?
Greek Orthodox, correct. Greek Orthodox. And we interviewed a Greek Orthodox priest in his church up in Reno, Nevada. And he talks about the Holy Fire and along with Bob Seifker. We got a lot of people. It's a very complex, very, very complex film. And because there's really two parts. There's the shroud, and then there's the Holy Fire. How do they relate? How do they come together? And we think the Holy Fire is what created the image on the shroud. In fact, Giulio Fanti shows this where he takes the Holy Fire and he's got an experiment set up. He's got two candles under a linen cloth. This candle he lights with a lighter. This candle, he lights with the Holy Fire. The one with the lighter burns right through the cloth. The one with the Holy Fire just singes the cloth, just like this, just like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's just, and isn't it just like the Lord to hide something for 2,000 years and now at the time of the end to reveal it, And I got to tell you, Marcia, we talked about this. Something is coming and it's not good. Something is coming and it's not good. And I'm not morose about it, but Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is the film that Disney put out. But Something Wicked This Way Comes. That's all I know.
And do you think that when that does come, and we know in our spirits that my spirit bears witness to what you're saying. When that happens, the faith of many people will be shaken.
Yep, I agree.
And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe just like what transpired with Noah's Ark and what Rick Renner did, his videos are, I believe, going around the world. Yes, I have the book as well. I interviewed him, by the way.
Yeah, I did too.
I know you did. I saw you. And I was so proud. I'm like, yes, you go. But I interviewed him on the 26th of December. It was a huge blessing. He has been one of my teachers for many years. And for him to, and I told him, I said, listen, when you came into the conversation of monsters and giants and UFOs and the aliens, it was explosive to me because he has always been, very careful with his teaching and stuff like that. And he crossed over and there's no going back.
Right. Exactly. There's no going back.
No. But I think what you're doing with the shroud is critical. It's important for people to know the truth, not to use it as a relic or as an amulet. I'm going to touch it and get healed or get my prayers answered. It's not about that. It's that shroud testifies. It's a witness, a silent witness as to something amazing, marvelous that occurred. It seals our faith.
And think about this. When Secunda Pia photographed this, was the first time in almost 2,000 years that anyone had seen this. If it's a forgery, how do you know that it's you're creating a negative image? I mean, it's just like the whole thing. I mean, it's mind-boggling. But the Lord knew, and Secunda Pia took the photograph, and he almost dropped the glass plate when he saw the face.
Really?
He almost dropped it. I mean, he was so startled. Who wouldn't? And so this is what we have. And look at the scourge marks. It's absolutely horrific.
Look at the wrist.
Yeah. The nail comes in. It comes in. How do I do this? So here's the palm. it comes out at an angle. It comes out at an angle. So you go like this, and it pops out here, which is exactly. It's not in the palms. It's not here. It's at an angle. It's still in the hand, but it comes in the back here, right above the wrist, and that's what pins him to the cross.
Wow.
I mean, and he knows there's no there's no coming back from this. I mean,
wow.
he knows. And you remember when he dies, the body is in the tomb, but his spirit, and this is why he's the prototype, his spirit and his soul go down to the lower parts of earth, Tartarus, and preach to the fallen angels who are chained there. No jailbreak. You're not getting out. Checkmate. I just won. And they're all going like, I don't believe it. They're all freaking out.
Can you believe that he did that? The word says that
it's mind-boggling.
The word says that he crossed the abyss, which that in itself was a supernatural thing.
Yeah.
Right? He crosses over, goes to see the angels. Can you imagine? They've been in utter darkness for thousands of years, and here comes the light. Can you imagine what went on down there?
And they're distraught because they realize they're not getting out. That's the other thing. You're not getting out. Checkmate. I got the keys. You're not getting out. No one saw it. Nobody. And yet it's, Isaiah 53, it's like right there. No one saw it. No one figured that, the enemy's going, well, now he's getting, that's why they're yelling, you saved others, save yourself, come down off the cross. Why are they saying that? Because that's what they're all expecting. Come down off the cross. It is finished. He wins.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, it's just like, I can't get my head around it. I mean, Marcia, I'm 74 years old. I've been a Christian for 44 years, and I'm like a kindergartner. That's what I feel like. I mean, it's just like, wow.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And he's allowing us to do the film. Go figure. Elmer Fudd gets to make the movie on the Shroud and the Holy Fire. I mean, it's just like really humbling.
Who better than you? You love him, and you're going to make sure that the material that goes out there, it's the real thing.
I think so.
So he entrusted you with something beautiful.
Yeah.
And I find that amazing. I'm like, wow, my head is spinning. One last question before I let you go. What do you think is that mark that he has here? It looks like the number 3. I've always wondered.
Well, these marks that are on the head, it wasn't a crown. It was like a helmet of thorns, and that's blood coming from the wound.
That's blood coming from the wound.
That's all that is blood coming from. They didn't make a crown. It's like a helmet, and they smacked it down. So it's like, you're whipped and scourged. You've got this thing on your head, which, I mean, are you kidding me? The trauma is beyond anything you can imagine. And then when the spike goes in, these long spikes go into the hand. You're talking about pain that's shooting up your arm, and this is why he dies in 3 hours. Yeah. I mean, you can't. Nobody can withstand that type of torture because it's just, And remember when they got the purple robe on him. They dress him in a purple robe, and he carries the cross up there. Then they yank the thing off of him. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's so barbaric.
Yes.
So, absolutely. There's no relief on any level.
Because at that point, since he was bleeding, the fabric must have stuck to his skin. They ripped it, and out comes more skin and more blood.
Yeah. This is why by the time he's on there, Father, forgive them for what they do. You'll be with me in paradise. It is finished. I thirst, Father. Why have you forsaken me? I thirst. He doesn't take anything. He gives up the ghost. It is finished. That's it.
Wow.
And then the earthquake happens. The sky goes dark. The tombs are opened up. I mean, it's the most, nobody's making this stuff up. You can't make this up. This is what happened. The Roman goes, this was the Son of God. The veil in the temple was rent in two. I mean, godly people that have been dead for hundreds of years are seen walking in the streets of Jerusalem. I mean, you're looking at the most profound event in all of history. There's no doubt. Absolutely none.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. And there's a lot of, I think Josephus wrote about it as well.
They did.
Plenty of information. So it's not just the biblical account. There are historians that wrote about this. And then we have, all the archaeological sites and there's plenty of proof, that points to that.
And he's coming back soon. He's got to, because you can't fix this anymore.
No.
You can't. Yeah.
We need him.
Yeah, we really do. This is it.
We need him.
Absolutely, all day long.
I am very grateful for this time that you've given us. We said half an hour, but of course, we went over. I don't know that I'll be able to sleep tonight. I have to think about all of this. I think it's an amazing project, and many, many people will benefit from it. And I think it's going to be reassuring to many, many people. What God said is truth. What God said is the real thing. Everything, the Word of God. It's like a seal. It's like a seal. This is real. This is where you need to look to find me. Come to the Word. Look what I've done. Here's the shroud. I left it as like evidence, forensic evidence. Come to me. And I think many people will be touched by that. So I can't wait to see the film. And wow, we're going to support you as much as we can, because this is something worth watching and worth producing. And I thank you, LA, so very much for everything you do for the Lord, for the kingdom of God, and for sharing this time with the Hispanic audience.
Well, it's an honor, and you're a very gracious host, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so very much. Until next time, which I have a feeling will be very soon. So, LA, God bless you, and we will be talking soon again.